right, good afternoon, everybody. This is Kevin Gilmore again from the National Weather Service New Orleans Baton Rouge office located in Slidell, Louisiana. We're going to go ahead and get started. We got a new update today, got a lot to talk about, a lot of new information's come across, and we're going to kind of really dive into the details about what is likely going to be a significant severe weather outbreak for a large portion of the southeast, and our local area is in that risk. So we're going to go over everything. I know there's a lot to talk about with even some activity going on today, and there's a lot of focus on tomorrow too. So we're going to go over all of that and make sure that everybody is well prepared for some active weather that we have coming up around the corner. First, let's see, we're going to go ahead and get started like we typically do, kind of looking outside the window. It's actually a really nice day out there across the local area of southeast Louisiana and southern Mississippi. I wanted to pull up, let's see if I can pull this up here. Yeah, this is the visible satellite imagery across the whole United States, showing you a pretty impressive cyclone over the central U.S. that's causing already severe weather across starting to get into the mid-Mississippi Valley region. A lot of severe thunderstorm warnings in effect, getting into like Kansas City, later getting into St. Louis, where a moderate risk or threat level 4 out of 5 risk is in effect for a large portion of the Mississippi Valley. That also could be a significant outbreak for that location. But for us down here, down in Louisiana, southern Louisiana, Mississippi, it's actually not too bad of a day. Partly cloudy skies, pretty warm out there, not too bad. However, there is some activity got to watch later, so we don't want people to be too caught off guard and too focused on Saturday, because we do actually have a risk of severe weather this evening and tonight. So we're going to spend a little bit of time talking about that, then talk about the main risk here a little bit later that's going to be coming in during the day Saturday. So this is going to be kind of a two-part presentation where we'll be discussing the threats. So first, let's go ahead and dive right into it with what's going on. Actually, I want to start with one thing that was just passed along by another forecaster here, is that we do have some activity already starting to ongoing across near central Louisiana, and I want to show you this. This is a mesoscale discussion. This is issued by the Storm Prediction Center in Norman, Oklahoma, that kind of highlights area and gets into a lot of meteorological lingo, as you'd say, about highlighting areas that they are watching for the potential of a watch. And they've already kind of highlighted an area here that includes our area towards the northwest, across southwest Mississippi, where there could be a watch. So it says watch issuance likely, so be aware that we may be having our first watch coming out for that area of southwest Mississippi and portions of central and eastern Louisiana here, with some development we're already monitoring on radar. So we're going to get into all of that though coming up. Let's go ahead and dive into it, and let me go ahead and show you. I gotta always show you this every single time. Know where you are on a map. That is so vitally important, because I'm gonna be showing you so many maps coming up here. Know your city, know your county, know your parish. Know your adjacent city, county, and parish. All that will make sure you know where you are when you're looking at these maps. So instead of going in chat and saying, hey, what about Livingston? Hey, what about Slidell? What about Gulfport? Well, your answer is going to be right here. I'm going to have all your answers on these maps where you'll be able to pull that out. If you're watching us from another office, we are one of 122 offices in the United States. We are covering southeast Louisiana and southern Mississippi, but we have adjacent areas too. National Weather Service Lake Charles to our west, Jackson to our north, and Mobile to our east. Be sure to follow them for the local weather for those areas. But again, for this presentation, this briefing that we're going to be doing, we're going to be focusing on southeast Louisiana and southern Mississippi. And like I was just mentioning about how you can pull that information, about if you know where you are on a map, how can you extract that information, understand what the risk is I got an example city there. Say you live in Poplarville, you're in a slight risk. That's threat level 2 out of 5. But I know where I am on my map because I know where I am there in southeast Louisiana and southern Mississippi. Same for timing. I'm going to be showing you timing graphics coming up here. So you got the threat level, and then you have the timing at which you may see that type of severe weather. So this is an example of why knowing your location is very important here coming up. So starting with what's going on this evening and tonight. Right now there is a marginal to slight risk of severe weather, and this is with the most recent update from the Storm Prediction Center. They did pull down that enhanced risk, which clips the northern portions of our southwest Mississippi counties, and that does include the city of Macomb. So that's a threat level 3 out of 5, and that's because of what I just showed you there. There are some showers and some thunderstorms starting to develop already near Alexandria, near Fort Johnson area of central Louisiana, and those could kind of meander into the far northern parts of our area later today. I will say that confidence about further south towards like the I-10-12 corridor, confidence is lower that we'll see activity this far south, but we're going to have to watch if those storms get a little bit more active across that southern Mississippi areas. So keep that in the back of your mind. If you're pretty much north of I-10-12, that's something to really keep an eye out for. As you get towards like New Orleans, Slidell, and even coastal southeast Louisiana, the risk really diminishes and the confidence really lowers too. We're just not likely going to see much of anything that far south. But if something does develop, that green area you see there, that's a threat level 1 out of 5. So there could be a strong storm. Can't rule out a locally severe thunderstorm, but that risk is a little bit more notable as you get towards north of I-10-12, what we call the Florida parishes, and then getting in that southern Mississippi area. So that's with what's going now, what we got to watch a little bit later. So I'm going to do something a little bit different this go around. So hopefully I get good feedback here. I'm going to be showing you location-specific severe weather timings and a timeline. And these are the 4 cities that I'm going to be showing. Now, yes, I know not everybody here is watching from these 4 exact cities, so be aware if you're near these cities, this will be for you. So, for example, if I live in Laplace, I need to pay attention to New Orleans. If I live in Pascagoula, I need to pay attention to Biloxi. I just don't have enough time to show you every single city and every single threat here, because that's a lot of information. So I'm going to hit some of the 4 bigger cities across the area and what we can expect with the severe weather for later today. So that's going to be the first one I'm going to show you here. I'm going to explain this. On the top left is Baton Rouge, on the top right is Macomb, on the bottom left is New Orleans, and the bottom right is Biloxi. Those same 4 cities I just showed. And this is a timeline, so most recent is to the left, and you go in with time to the right. This is showing you a timeline of when that categorical risk could happen. So if you see there, like I just mentioned for Baton Rouge and New Orleans, the 2 left images, marginal risk, very low risk, maybe you could see a strong storm, but there's your window for Macomb and Biloxi where you're in that slight risk. That's more isolated strong, possibly severe storms between that window. So you see there between 5 and 11 o'clock roughly for Macomb. That's later this evening into early tonight. And for Biloxi, we're talking about around 6 to maybe 11 p.m. this evening. And then the risk diminishes after midnight. So we're going to show another one with the Saturday outlook, but I wanted to kind of show you this for this one to show you the timing for these point locations. Just be aware too, once these storms lift out of here, we're not expecting any additional risk after midnight until we get into the day on Saturday. And that's going to be the main show here that we're going to be really focusing in on. This is the likelihood of a significant severe weather outbreak for all. I'm not going to really get cute here and say, well, it's enhanced down in Homa. No, really, in this case, this is an enhanced risk, or excuse me, this is a significant risk for all of the whole area. If you're watching this in southeast Louisiana, this is a serious situation. So we're going to break this down, but what we're expecting is the likelihood of a significant tornadoes, or strong tornadoes, I should say, EF2 plus in intensity. Strong and long track tornadoes could be possible. So we're going to, again, really hone in on that. Tornadoes, large hail, damaging winds, all going to be a risk. And we'll talk about the timing here coming up. So I want to still show this. This is typically what we traditionally show, which is the map overview of the timing, and then we'll show the same guidance I showed you earlier, but for Saturday coming up. Pick your location. You know where your county is. You know where your parish is. You know where your city is. Look at that. Find the color. Find the number. Then address it to the table to the left. So as you see, I want to focus in on those early time frames first. 7 a.m., then 2 is 9 a.m., then 11, then 1 p.m. That's going to be your early beginning window. So what we're seeing with some of the guidance is it's showing that there could be some scattered showers to storms developing in the morning time. That could be around mid-morning roughly, getting into late morning. And then as the better shear and all the upper atmospheric conditions get more and more conducive for severe thunderstorms, that's when those showers could quickly become thunderstorms and grow to become severe for generally the whole area, especially if you get towards I-10-12 north from that moderate risk I was just showing you. How long will it last? Well, it's going to last for a while. This is going to be a large window. I'll show you more about that coming up. This is a larger window because we're not expecting a squall line. We're expecting more discrete cells or storms that are out on their own. If you've ever heard the term supercells or these storms that are out on their own, and those are the ones we're going to be expecting. Now, they could be along a line. It could be a line of cells, but there's going to be individual storms that are be causing these issues, at which they could form large and potentially long track tornadoes that we'll have to monitor. So because there could be scattered storms that are severe during the day, the window is a little bit larger because it's going to be a larger area. But I will say that as we get towards that mid to late afternoon time frame, especially the evening, everything's going to be kicking off from west to east. You can be tracking that if you're watching on radar or watching anybody like on broadcast media. If you're watching what's going on with the conditions, you'll be noticing that conditions will be improving from west to east as the afternoon goes on. Eventually, this will kick off to the east, and then after that, as we get to that 6 to 8 o'clock time frame over in coastal Mississippi, we're all done. We're all done. We're not going to be seeing any additional reformation of any types of strong to severe thunderstorms after Saturday evening. So as we get into the nighttime, everything's going to be done. Everything's going to be all right by that time frame. Same thing as I showed you before for those 4 cities: Baton Rouge top left, Macomb top right, New Orleans bottom left, and Biloxi bottom right. You see that same window that's very large? You say to yourself, wait a minute, I'm going to be having a severe thunderstorm the entire time? No. That's the risk. That's the greater risk of severe weather for your location. That's why I wrote it there, main window for scattered severe storms. It's a large window because there's going to be scattered storms around. Then the risk starts to dwindle. As you're talking about for Baton Rouge, it ends around 5 to 7. And like I just mentioned, that risk really tanks because there's no other additional risk thereafter. For Macomb, another large window. We're going to have to watch late morning through the afternoon into the early evening hours. The risk is over. New Orleans, same window. Then the risk is over as we get towards the early to around midnight time frame. And Biloxi, your window is large between around noon all the way through 9 o'clock. Again, that doesn't mean you're going to be seeing severe weather during that window. That's going to be the greater risk for seeing a storm in that window. So that's where we're really going to have to be monitoring what to watch for at that time. And then again, the risk dwindles and then nothing else thereafter. Now we've talked a little bit of details, I want to talk also about other locations. Yes, there could be other areas who are watching this from other portions of the southeast U.S., possibly even beyond that. This is the entire convective outlook showing you southern United States, showing you that there was an upgrade earlier to a rare high risk. And I can't even think of a briefing I've done where there was a high risk somewhere. This is a significant situation when you're talking about a threat level 5 out of 5. Now, it's not technically into our area that we cover in southern Mississippi, but it's very close. And I wouldn't focus so much on that line. However, I will say from what other meteorologists have been discussing, what we've been looking at, it is clear that the greater risk for severe weather exists from Jackson to Birmingham. That includes cities like Tuscaloosa, Meridian, getting close to Selma. It actually does include Selma, getting close to Montgomery. This is some rural areas of Mississippi and Alabama, but are no stranger to these types of significant events. So if you have family and friends in that area, I urge you, please reach out to them, let them know what's coming. There is a 5 out of 5 high risk of severe weather in that area. For our location, we're going to be a little bit more to the southwest of that targeted greater risk, but we could still see some cells that really develop some quick long track tornadoes that stay on the ground for a while. And then they may be launching out of our area, getting into that southern Mississippi to eventually south central and southern Alabama area. That may be a little bit later than the risk that we've been showing. That may be towards the evening to maybe parts of the overnight hours for Birmingham to Montgomery. But again, if you have family and friends really that are under any of these locations that have a risk, just give them a call, shoot a text, let them know that they know this is coming up and that this is, again, a rare high risk. We don't see those very often. And when we do see them, they really cause some serious concerns. So please reach out to them. Now, we talked about the bulk of the severe weather. There's other things, too, to quickly talk about. Is we do have a wind advisory in effect for tomorrow. It's going to be a little bit breezy, as we typically usually see with these types of systems and types of events. We really get those gusty southerly winds that really rush out ahead of the system. So there's your peak wind gust there in the ranges between 25 and 30 Baton Rouge, 35 to 40 in New Orleans. Just keep that in the back of your mind. Tie down any loose items, like, if you got an umbrella or something outside, make sure you close it. Be careful traveling. We got a lot of bridges across the area, Causeway, Twin Span. Be careful traveling. We're not anticipating a high wind warning, but any type of warning criteria like we saw with the last system. But still, breezy still can be a concern, especially for those who are out in the wind. Make sure you tie things down. Again, this is in effect from 10 a.m. Saturday through 7 p.m. Saturday as well. Coastal flood advisory, a little bit of a less of an impact, but still a concern. We want to mention this, is in effect for coastal southeast Mississippi. Minor coastal flooding up to 1 feet above normally dry ground. If you live in an area across coastal Mississippi that typically sees higher than normal tides or a little bit of inundation when you have that strong southerly flow, just be aware. Areas I'm talking about, it's like the Shoreline Park area, Waveland, Bay St. Louis, areas that typically see a little bit more problems closer to the coast. You could see some water on roadways. Not a significant risk, but more nuisance type of flooding. Again, that's going to be pretty much tonight through Saturday. So now we're going to dive into a little bit precautionary. I know I showed this yesterday, but please know where to go when sheltering from a tornado. The slide is I made this slide for a reason because we don't have basements down here. And a lot of people ask that question, where do I go? I don't have a basement. Everyone says go to the basement. Well, always remember those 4 bullet points there you see in yellow. Small room, lowest floor, near the center, away from windows. Put as many walls between you and the outside as possible. There's some examples to the left. Those are real world examples of when a tornado demolished a house, but left that center of the structure standing. So if you were there, you would have been hopefully safe, but if you do go to a room like this, make sure to bring a pillow, or I know this seems a little silly, but bring a bike helmet. And a lot of people say, a bike helmet? Well, that's because there's going to be a lot of flying debris, and you want to protect your head from anything hitting it, anything slamming into your head, because those blunt force trauma injuries, they're very common in tornadoes. So a blanket, a pillow, throw it over your head. Just camp out in there until the entire duration of the warning. Once it's gone, you can go back to what you were doing. But that's why it's important to receive what you see there on the right. Those are warnings. In a day like tomorrow, we may have a good bit of those around our area. Tornado warnings mean take action. That's when you go to that center part of your house. That's when you initiate that plan that you have. A watch means just that. It means watch out. It means the conditions are favorable for tornadoes. It's kind of like what we may be seeing here coming up very shortly with these storms we were just talking about in central Louisiana. Tomorrow will be likely under a tornado watch in some form or fashion for a part of the area for probably a good long duration. So know the difference. Watch typically comes before warning, but doesn't mean that you have to have a watch, then have to have a warning. Sometimes you can have a warning without a watch. A watch really, it just means that a large area is favorable for severe weather. Wireless emergency alerts, you can't go wrong with those. A lot of people have smartphones. If you do, please make sure they're turned on. This graphic to the left illustrates what's actually something that a lot of people have noticed, even myself, that you get what's called bleed over. When you issue that polygon or that red box you see there, it hits these towers. It hits cell towers. Well, cell towers have a radius, and if it hits that cell tower, it'll alert that entire radius. And if that radius is on the outside of the warning, it'll still alert you. So that's why, don't get too cute with the exact lines. If you're surrounding it, your cell tower is surrounding it, your phone still may go off. If your phone is not going off, please check your manufacturer settings. Depending on what type of phone you have, go online, go on Google, search it, and say, how do I turn on wireless emergency alerts? Usually it's a setting you go to. Make sure they are on. For tomorrow, I'm telling you, make sure they are on for tomorrow. Broadcast media, we have a great connection, great relationship with our local broadcast mets. They do an incredible job working round the clock to provide everybody with warnings that are issued by the National Weather Service, really giving the public detailed information. We really appreciate all the hard work they do. Please follow them on television or any type of streaming services. Everyone's got their favorite broadcast meteorologist. I've always had my favorite. Be sure to follow them. They'll be providing you with frequent updates, just like we will be doing too. So be sure to follow them. And please spread the word. Like I was saying before about the high risk that's up in Mississippi and Alabama, shoot them a text, give them a call, let them know it's coming. Sometimes people don't know it's coming. And your text and call could very well save someone's life. Don't cause panic. Don't text them, oh, this is the worst thing ever. No, don't cause panic. Just be aware. Give them an idea that, hey, this is a real big risk coming in here. Do you have a plan? Make them think and be like, oh gosh, I don't have a plan. So if you get them to think, they'll take action. They take action, they'll have that plan in case the warning is issued for their location. That text or call could save a life. So please think about that. And then old trusty, you can't go wrong without a NOAA weather radio. I think I have like 2 or 3 of them myself, but that's because I'm a weather nerd. But please, weather radios are fantastic. You can go to local stores. I'm not sure what local stores have it, but if you order online, you can order them online too. Make sure they're programmed correctly. If they're not sure how they're programmed, go online, go to the manufacturer's website. Usually they tell you how to program them. And for this case, if you do have one already, please, that bottom bullet point, ensure they have fresh batteries in case you lose power. If you don't and you lose power, then it's not going to turn on. So you want this to alert you if there's a warning issued for your area. So that's going to be practically the bulk of the presentation. I'm going to come back here. I know that was a lot of information we covered. There's ongoing weather, there's weather tonight, there's weather tomorrow, and there's preparation for all those. So there's definitely a lot we need to do here. And to kind of really blanket everything I just said, be weather aware. Okay, don't go, about your day tomorrow and just whatever. I've been in worse. That's the worst thing. I can't stand when people say that, because people like to compare these to other events. This is a significant risk. Hopefully nothing happens. We're hoping for a bust. We're hoping nothing happens. But in that case something does happen, that's where we want people to be as prepared as possible. So before we sign out here, I know we're coming up to about 4:57. We're about 5 o'clock. I want to end before 5 o'clock because just to kind of make sure that news and media is going to be coming on the news here shortly, but I do want to show you just here real quick. Let me go back to the PC. There's that mesoscale discussion I was just talking about that's in effect for Southwest Mississippi and Northeast Louisiana. We'll likely be seeing a watch come out if it hasn't already during my presentation. Please go to our website too. I had to advertise that, weather.gov/licks or /New Orleans. We'll take you to our own webpage. There's our same graphics that I just showed you before. You can click right here. Go across, there's your timing, there's your tornado safety, and then of course we have that minor coastal flooding concerns. So we'll be updating this all the time, but if you come down here and if you are interested in your local forecast, say I live near Slidell, you can click there and it'll actually show you any types of hazards that are in effect on the top here. And I'll just show you, okay, there's your highs and lows and risk for severe weather. And you can move around. These are interactive maps. I think this is really neat. You can come down to, like, let's say Mandeville here, and you can see, hey, I got a weather hazard. I have a wind advisory in effect like I just showed you. So pretty neat and pretty cool. We'll definitely, like I said, be providing more information as the time comes across with these updates. And again, we'll be watching this area. Let me kind of come back here and kind of conclude. We've got about 1 more minute here. We'll go ahead and finish up. Again, I'm not sure if we'll be doing another Facebook Live. We'll try to, but be aware it's going to be all hands on deck here at the office. We got a lot of people, a lot of fantastic, hardworking forecasters here at the office that are going to be boots on the ground, watching this event, providing you with the latest updates with accurate, timely warnings. We'll be passing along information via social media and still producing our forecast. We're still doing our job. That's why we're here. We're here 24/7 to make sure that everyone's safe in these types of significant severe weather events or at any time for any type of hazardous weather. So we'll go ahead and end it there. We're coming up to, like I said, right at 5 o'clock. Please, again, today's a good day to make sure that your plan is in place and you have a kit ready to go. And then we'll go at it a step at a time through tomorrow. Again, stay weather aware. Make sure you have a reliable way to receive warnings. And we'll catch you back next time. So y'all have a fantastic evening. Be safe the next few days. And we'll catch you back next time. Y'all take care.